When you first start riding a motorcycle, you're filled with all sorts of emotions. Excitement, fear, curiosity. You're eager to hit the road and see what two wheels has to offer. But let's face it, we don't know nearly as much as we should to ride safely. They say ignorance is bliss, but it's also pretty dangerous, especially when it comes to riding a motorcycle. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the most dangerous mistakes I've made as a new rider and how you can avoid them yourself. Now let's hop into it. First on the list, not wearing proper safety gear. When I first started riding, I'll admit it, I didn't really think much about safety. My first rides were in jeans, sneakers, and no helmet. I was about 22 years old and didn't have a care in the world. Honestly, I thought looking cool was the most important thing, but as I got older and had a few close calls, it hit me. Not wearing proper gear was a huge mistake. If I went down without a helmet, gloves, boots, or a protective jacket, even a minor accident could have turned into a major problem. I want to enjoy riding my motorcycle for as long as possible, and proper gear is a big part of that. Once I started looking into options, I realized there's gear out there that protects you, looks great, and is actually comfortable. Two of my favorite brands are Indy Ridge for boots and gloves and Beyond Riders for jeans and jackets. Both have some awesome options that'll keep you safe in both hot and cold weather while making sure you still look good. This was one of the most dangerous habits I had when I first started riding. Putting my bike in neutral at stoplights. I'd pull up to a light, shift into neutral, and take a quick breather. Honestly, don't do this. It's like making yourself a sitting duck. If you're not paying attention to your surroundings, you're putting yourself at serious risk. Here's the deal. You want to be ready to move at a moment's notice. If a car comes up behind you, doesn't seem like it's going to stop, having to shift into gear, then react wastes precious seconds you might not have. When you're sitting at a stoplight, stay in gear. Keep the clutch pulled in, your left foot down, and your right foot on the rear brake. And of course, constantly check your mirrors. This way, you're always in position to get out of harm's way instantly if need be. And this point leads me right in my next mistake. Stopping right on the bumper of the car in front of you. Almost every time I'm out riding, I see other riders doing this, and I used to be guilty of it too. When you stop, make sure to leave enough room between you and the car in front so you can maneuver if needed. Stopping right on the bumper doesn't give you any space to react in an emergency. I always leave about a car's length, and it saved me more than once. A couple years ago, I was at a stoplight with a car in front of me and another behind me. And out of nowhere, the car behind me hits the gas and rams right into the back end of me. Luckily, I left myself enough space to avoid becoming a sandwich. Plus, because I stayed in gear and held the rear brake, my bike didn't launch forward and I was able to stay upright. If I'd been in neutral, I probably would have dropped the bike. Mistake number 4, not seeking any training. It took me years to realize that I was doing so many things wrong. I didn't really start taking motorcycle education seriously until about 8 years into my riding career. One day I was sitting on the couch and randomly started searching YouTube for motorcycle training videos. I came across a guy named Robert Simmons. He's a retired NYPD motor officer and teaches how to be the boss of your motorcycle. After binge watching his videos, I quickly realized I had no idea how to ride my motorcycle. Some riders think they don't need any formal training and can just learn everything by getting out on the road. Others assume they already know it all. And honestly, that kind of mindset is dangerous. There's always something new to learn, and we should always be looking for ways to expand our knowledge. When I found Robert's channel, it really opened my eyes. I decided to start taking motorcycle education seriously. I've since taken advanced courses like Lock and Lean, Pro Rider, Yamaha Champ Street, and of course attended multiple Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle practice sessions. Each course has taught me something new and highlighted mistakes I didn't even realize I was making. And let me tell you, riding becomes so much more enjoyable when you actually know what you're doing. I encourage you, put your ego to the side, take some training, and get out there and practice. It could save your life. Another rookie mistake I made was only using the front brake. The more I think about it, this is just plain silly. 8 years I went without even touching the rear brake. Once I realized how valuable of a tool it was, especially for slow speed maneuvers, it was like I had a cheat code. Suddenly, I was able to make smoother stops, become more stable while making tight maneuvers, and it gave me more stopping power during emergency braking. And let's be real, using only the front brake at slow speeds can get you into trouble fast. If your handlebars are turned and you grab the front brake, there's a good chance you're going to drop your bike. The next mistake I made was riding beyond my skill level in group rides, and I think a lot of seasoned riders can relate. If I'm being honest with myself, I joined group rides long before I was ready. Riding with a big group of like-minded bikers sounded fun, but I quickly learned it isn't what it's all cracked up to be. Group rides can bring out show-offs and aggressive riding, which made me feel pressure to keep up. When you try to match someone else's pace instead of your own, you can end up making mistakes you wouldn't normally make, costly ones that could lead to an accident. Now when I go on group rides, which is few and far between, I like to hang towards the back and ride my own ride. Over time, I've learned that it's just not worth trying to keep up if the group is riding faster than I'm comfortable with. It's always better to meet everyone at the next stop and finish the ride safely. Moving along, skipping maintenance checks. When I first got my motorcycle, I didn't pay enough attention to maintenance. At the time, I figured that checking simple things like tire pressure and oil level wasn't a big deal. I just wanted to ride. But skipping these checks could have ended up in disaster. Not doing regular maintenance checks is dangerous because small issues can turn into big problems fast. Underinflated tires, a loose bolt, or worn out brake pads can completely change how your bike handles, especially in emergencies. Now I make it a habit to inspect my bike before every ride, or at least every other ride. By following the T-clock method, I'm checking my tires, controls, lights, oil, chassis, and kickstand. It only takes a few minutes, but it gives me peace of mind knowing everything is in good shape before I hit the road. Mistake number 8, not riding defensively. When I first started riding, I wasn't in the right mindset of anticipating mistakes of other drivers. I just assumed that they'd see me or do the right thing. This mindset put me in great danger. Assuming someone's gonna stop at a stop sign or red light is like playing Russian roulette. After a few close calls, I quickly realized I need to start playing defense. At the end of the day, when it's car versus motorcycle, the car always wins. One thing that I always do while I ride is play out different scenarios in my head and come up with a plan for how I'd react if they actually happen. For example, if I'm approaching an intersection and see a car stopped at the light, I assume they might not see me and could pull out in front of me. I slow down, adjust my road position so I'm ready to either swerve or make an emergency stop. This simple habit has helped me avoid quite a few close calls and keeps me ready for the unexpected. This next mistake is an easy trap to fall into: overconfidence. Confidence is great when you're riding, but as soon as it turns into overconfidence, things can go wrong fast. About a year into my riding journey, I was on my way home from work and came up to a 25-mile-per-hour curve I'd taken countless times before. I decided to push it a bit and take the turn faster than usual. I went in way too fast and didn't have the skill to handle it. I ended up running wide straight into the grass, but somehow managed to stay upright and not drop the bike. Needless to say, it was a serious wake-up call. Just because you feel like you can handle something doesn't always mean you can. And public streets with all their unpredictable variables isn't the place to test your limits. My overconfidence led me into a situation that luckily I walked away from unscathed. Next up, riding with a passenger before I was ready. Not only was I putting myself in danger, but I was also putting someone else's life at risk. When I passed my motorcycle test, I was legally allowed to ride with a passenger, but that didn't mean I was ready. I'll never forget the first time I took my girlfriend at the time for a ride. We were both excited and figured it wouldn't be that different, but I was wrong. When she hopped on, everything changed. The bike felt heavier and more unstable, especially when we came to a stop. The extra weight threw off the whole balance of the bike. I knew I wasn't ready, but irresponsibly, I finished the ride. Needless to say, I was sweating bullets the whole time. Afterward, I told her I needed more practice before we tried it again. She understood, and I knew it was the right call. Moral of the story: don't rush into riding with a passenger. Take the time to actually learn how to properly ride your motorcycle, then practice with a passenger in a safe, controlled environment like a parking lot. This way, you actually know that you're ready. What dangerous mistakes have you made when you first started riding? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this one right here, where I debunk some common motorcycle myths. As always, this is Jogo with Jogo Motorcycle Adventures, and until next time, ride on.